that was the hurdle that you couldn't jump. In other words, can't I speak to this Congress? But how was the next step going to be fulfilled? Well, you and I know you had to have the chaplains, you had to have, well, up to a point, you didn't even need a really benign bishop, provided he didn't obstruct.
Right.
But you had to have the chaplains. And chaplains who were prepared to accept that they weren't it. They weren't it. It was the young workers that were the carriers of the good news, and helped to implement it. So that when we talk about how Cardine had an influence on the world of his time, it could only be that he could convince others, whether they were prelates or lay people or whatever, of the value, the sacred value of the layman in the world. Irreplaceable. That was his whole point. Irreplaceable. No one could take the place of the young worker, and by extension, of course, of the older worker, which, of course, we could go on endlessly about what happened to the adult lay apostolate. Dear God, let's leave that aside, Stefan.
Okay. Yeah.
For the moment, at any rate. But what I suppose I'm trying to say is that I can't recollect there having been any great applause for Cardine. Certainly there was great respect for him. But further than that, what happened? What happened? I don't know. Nothing, probably.
Well, for example, there were it's a French priest who's written the history of those two World Congresses in 1951 and 1957. He's actually the one who pointed out to me, anyway, for a start, the importance of that speech that Cardine gave.
Right.
But secondly, for example, there was a young Brazilian Monsignor, Helder Camara, who was there at that time. He was there, and it was only literally a couple of months later that he actually became a bishop, Camara. And there were a number of others. It's from that book. I just forget the name of the author, but it's clear that Cardine was instrumental in bringing a lot of the Latin American participants to that First World Congress.
Is that so?
Yes.
Good.
So, and what it seems to me, my interpretation of it is that you see, he did introduce this sort of reality approach to the World Congress on Lay Apostolate in 1951. But of course it wasn't complete. If you look at the report, as you say, there was many other there seems to be many other trends in the thought there, but it's something that comes into the...
that's great to hear.
Yeah. And again in 1957, that happened just a month after the famous World Congress of the YCW in Rome. Did you actually, that's another question I haven't thought to ask you. Did you go to Rome in 1957?
No.
You didn't, huh? No. Yeah. Yes, but anyway, the Second World Congress happened a month after the YCW Congress in '57.
Right.
So obviously they were timed together, and many of the, I don't know how many bishops. That's one thing I'm still trying to find out. But there were at least 20 bishops who went over to Rome for the YCW Congress, and who then stayed on for the Lay Apostolate Congress a month later.
Right.
And that kind of thing. Yeah.